In the second part of our seminar, we're going to be looking at properties of congruence. We have the reflexive property of congruence that says a segment can be congruent to itself. We have the symmetric property of congruence, which we could have used in the last proof if I would. That is, we can switch sides for congruence. And we have the transitive property of congruence. All three of these are theorems that can be proved just by using our definition of congruent segments. Here's the transitive property of congruence done as a paragraph proof. We start with AB is congruent to CD and CD is congruent to EF because we're given that. We change that to an equal sign. From your textbook, I copied this from your textbook. There should be a segment above there. It should be AB equals CD. And then we use the transitive property of equality. Then we switch it back using the definition of congruent segments. Let's take a look at a problem like that. It says Jamie is designing a badge for her club. The length of the top of the badge is equal to the length of the left edge of the badge. The top edge of the badge is congruent to the right edge of the badge, and the right edge of the badge is congruent to the bottom edge of the badge. Prove that the bottom of the badge is congruent to the left edge of the badge. Kind of a complicated question. Well, I simplified it into a proof. We have three givens. So let's write those down. We'll do this as a two-column proof again. This one I do believe will be a lot shorter than we did the first time, but I don't know until I do it. So I'm going to say WY equals YZ. WY, I'm going to mark that in my diagram, equals YZ. I got a tick mark there. Okay. We've got segment YZ is congruent to segment XZ. We've got segment XZ congruent to segment WX. All three of those are given, so I put those all in the same statement, and the reason is given. Notice two of my segments have congruent sign and one doesn't, so I'm going to change that one that doesn't to a congruent sign. And I'm also looking ahead in my proof. I want to have congruent in my end, so I'm going to change WY, segment WY is congruent to segment YZ. Reason? Definition of congruent segments. Now notice we've got WY is congruent to YZ. We've got YZ congruent to XZ. And we got XZ is congruent to WX. So everything's congruent, isn't it? So we can say WX is congruent to WY by transitive property. Transitive property is everything is congruent property as long as we go from one to the other. It's like the law of syllogism. So WX is congruent to WY. Reason? Transitive property of congruence. Nice, short, beautiful three-step proof. You don't have to write this, but I always do, because we're done with our proof. That's all you got to do. Transitive property makes life a lot easier when you're doing proofs. You'll use that quite often.